Good morning, Facebook. How are we, my loves? We are just waiting for the wonderful in and jump on board and accept her invite. I'm really excited for this live, guys. It's not going to be a long one. You might have seen or have been redirected to this video because maybe you are looking at being plant-based, looking at being vegan, or looking at trying to just improve the food quality that you are consuming. And maybe you might have said before, or you might have been thinking that it's quite difficult to travel and be healthy or travel and be vegan. So today I wanted to pop in and interview client Rudy, who has actually recently, why does this angle and like light, that looks so much better. I don't look terrible now, as terrible. Yeah, so I'm interviewing client Rudy on her travels around China, being vegan and being plant-based. So I'm super excited to get her involved. Right, Rudy, where are you? Have you been asked to join the live? Rudy, I've sent you a request to join the live, so there should be somewhere to join in. Bear with while we have a few teething issues. There we go. All right, bringing Rudy in. I'm super excited to hear her stories. Oh, I accidentally typed "yeah." How did I manage that? I have no idea how I even managed to type "yeah" in the chat. That's hilarious. We are live. Let's write that while we're here waiting. Here we go.
Just trying to get the camera set up. It's just awful.
Oh, that's all right.
Hold on.
Well, have you seen any of my lives
like
for the first 30 seconds? I'm always like this, like trying to make sure I don't look too bad.
Right. I can't hear you that well.
You can't, do you mean I need to speak up?
Well, I've got my volume up full,
Okay.
but I can't. I could hear you when I wasn't on it, the call as well, but I don't know what that's about.
Okay, let me know if you're really struggling to hear me, and I might see if I can change that around. Anyway, thank you so much for jumping on.
It's okay.
I appreciate you. I'm super excited to have a little chit chat because we haven't had a proper catch up since you've been back from China about this, because I wanted to save all my questions for this. So I appreciate you for coming on. A lot of people will say that either being vegan or being healthy is very difficult when they're either on the road or traveling. And so because you just displayed some fantastic efforts, a lot of positivity, a lot of planning, forward planning around your trip around China. I say round, I don't know how far you went. I really would love you to share your experiences. So let's start from the beginning, from that pre-trip call that we had. So if anyone doesn't know, Rudy's actually a current client. And we had a call before you went away, didn't we? Yeah. What was what were you thinking and experiencing before you went away?
So I remember talking to you about being worried that I would be out of control. And I remember saying that I'm an all or nothing person. And I wouldn't be in control because I didn't know what options I would have. And obviously, and we spoke about the fact that, and I know that we've spoken before about good, better, best, but it wasn't something that was natural to me. So we spoke about that. And then what I did was, when it came to thinking about the trip, because I didn't know what options I would have, I started writing in my journal. So I knew that I had breakfast included in the hotel, and from my experience, usually that's a buffet.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote down in my book, well, that means that I can have vegetables and fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can have that, then that's fine. Or I could have, so I wrote down a few different options. So bread and peanut butter, or salad and fruit. And in terms of the other food, I didn't know what options I was going to have. I knew I was going to a school, so I figured that maybe I'd have the same food that I can have at my school. So again, I wrote some options down, and then for evening meal, again, it was a case of trying to think of what things I could potentially have, and I wrote all that down. So I went with a plan of what I was going to do. And that's,
Okay.
we spoke about that before, about having a plan, about thinking what might happen and not being too hard on myself if these things don't work out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So first key elements there is really doing a little bit of research. And I said that you did a little bit of research and you were going based off of the things that you knew that were going to be available.
Mm-hmm.
So I think whether you're traveling a foreign country or just a difficult country, it's always useful to know where you're staying, what they offer, and what is local to you. So I'm assuming because you were with work when you were with your trip, then you knew that you were staying in hotels. Was that right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I booked the hotel,
Mm-hmm.
so I knew, and I made sure that I had breakfast, because I pretty much knew, having been in hotels here before, what that would be. So I knew I'd be safe, if you like, and I think you even mentioned to me about maybe taking some of the things that might be at breakfast out so that I could have that at lunchtime, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't do that. But
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And making sure that you do your research ahead of time. So not only looking at what you feel like is available, what could be available locally. So whether you're
Yeah.
close to markets, a supermarket, maybe some other cafes and stuff, really meticulously planning it out and figuring out exactly where it is, what is available to you. But then you mentioned about the plan as well, and that you actually started writing out the plan. Sorry, so bear in mind that a lot of people watching this won't know
Sorry.
a lot of the techniques that we cover. So we created like a little bit of a plan, a little bit of you were able to brainstorm all of the things that you knew that you were going to be able to have. Is that right? Yeah. Fantastic. And like you said, we even mentioned about grabbing some things from the breakfast buffet from the hotel so that you can take them with you throughout the day, right? I've worked in hospitality. That's totally fine. I used to literally try and shove like the fresh croissants to the guests and be like, here, take these because they're just going to be thrown away, right?
Yeah.
So having that option there to take some things away in a handbag, in a backpack, in a lunchbox is also incredibly useful. Fantastic. Okay, so how did you feel about variety then while you were away?
Sorry, say that again.
How did you feel about variety while you were away? Like, do you feel like you got a variety of foods?
Yeah, so the breakfast was amazing. What I did when I went on the first day, because obviously I'd planned what I thought I would know was there, and so I had a quick walk round and realised that on the left-hand side was all the things that I wanted to stay away from. So in terms
Mm-hmm.
of fried stuff and that sort of stuff, I didn't even look to see if there was anything potentially that I could have. I just skirted through there, and I went in with I want to look at the bread. I want to see if there's peanut butter, and I want to look at the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't any peanut butter, so I couldn't have that. So I then went and I got the fruit, and I got some seeds. So they had various seeds, so I put that on the fruit,
Nice.
and I got salad and some nice bread.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that for breakfast, and for lunches, as it turned out, you could have like salad again, and it was a case of pointing pointing to what it was that I wanted in my salad. They had kidney beans, and that's the first time I've ever had kidney beans cold, and I like them. So that was a revelation in itself, because basically the protein options usually are meat based or fish, certainly at
Mm-hmm.
school.
Mm-hmm.
so I went for beans, and that was lovely, and a bit of rice. So I do feel I had variety, that I didn't feel that I'd missed out on anything.
Hmm.
The dinners were harder because I was in the hotel. So one night I had room service, and that was just spaghetti and vegetables, which wasn't really that great. So I didn't have that again. But I did find the evenings were the most difficult. Breakfast and lunch was perfect.
Okay, so why were they more difficult? Was it just because you were restricted to staying in and just ordering off of the menu that they have, the
Mm.
house menu?
Yeah, so I had that option. And the only thing on there was that. There wasn't anything else that I could have had. I could have ordered takeaway, but the apps here, they're all in Chinese. And other than KFC, there's nothing that I would recognize or be able to work out whether it's something that I would want. They do deliver it in the hotels because I saw all the stuff being delivered. So I could have had that, but I didn't.
Hmm.
I also could have walked down to some of the shops. They have like little supermarkets, which actually, in hindsight, I probably not should have done. I could have done that when I knew that there was no option. But by then, I it was sort of too late. I didn't want to go out walking. I couldn't be bothered, I was tired. So a couple of times I went to the vending machine and just got myself some crackers. I could again, I could have got chocolate and crisps, but I didn't. I just got crackers. And actually, to be honest, I found that in the evenings I wasn't that hungry because I'd eaten so well for breakfast and lunch.
Hmm.
I didn't really, the crackers was enough to satisfy me.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, while I'm not advocating a plate full of crackers for dinner, I do want to point to the fact that you did mention that you weren't hungry. So this is a huge thing that we work on as part of being with the program, and we really really tune into dialing into that hunger and the fullness. And if we're not hungry just because it's dinner time, there's no point eating, right? I actually made a reel about it this morning or yesterday, and it's just something that we need to kind of like shake loose this ingrained belief that just because it's a certain time or just because we're doing a certain thing, then we need to be eating. So
Mm.
I know that you said that you just had crackers from the vending machine, which wasn't great,
Mm.
but at the same time, if you weren't hungry or if you're massively hungry, then
Mm.
did that tie you over?
Yeah. So they were just like little packets of them. And I got however many I got of them, but I didn't eat many because then it was like, I've had enough. I don't want anything else. So
Mm. Mm.
it was definitely enough.
Amazing. So that's kind of like the veganism side, and now we're almost starting to venture into the healthy side and trying to abide by like that healthier foods and make sure that we're staying away from fried food. So I think there's like two prongs to this conversation. There's the vegan prong, and then there's the healthy prong.
Mm.
Can you tell me how it was like like you mentioned in the breakfast, there was all the deep fried stuff, and I'm assuming there was the meat stuff as well.
Mhm.
Can you tell me like what was going through your mind when you decided to walk past that instead of going there and then like teasing yourself about it?
Well, I think because I knew I'd already decided what it was that I was going to eat, so it was
Hmm.
more a case of that I need to find the fruit station and the whatever salad station. But obviously, the first day that I'd been there, I didn't know where it was, and I could so I was walking down, like I say, the left hand side, and I saw some potato smiley faces. And if anyone knows me, they know I like a potato product. And I literally said, and I did say it out loud, and it was like, no, you're not going down there. And so I just moved away, and then obviously found the parts that I wanted to eat from. And then from the other days that I was there, because I think I was there 5 days, I just went straight to those bits I didn't. Oh, actually, no, that's not true. One day, I think it was second to last day, I thought, right, I am going to have a look here because I want, there's bound to be vegetables. It's not just going to be meat. And so that day I got some vegetables and got some they had like vegetable rolls and things like that. So I thought, right, well, I'll try some of these things. And actually, what I did notice, which I hadn't noticed before just because I ran past it, was that they had little signs to tick to see if it had meat, dairy, or fish in it, or nuts, like the allergy cards. So I could then pick, okay, well, I can have that. And as long as it wasn't fried or I liked the look of it, I had it. So I went back to the table with my plate of hot breakfast, not salad. But I didn't enjoy it as much. I
Did you
didn't I
not?
didn't enjoy it as much. No, it was interesting. The one good thing I found over there was coriander though. So that was there. So the next morning I had salad with coriander.
I made
I mean,
myself love
I've seen
coriander.
when I've been on holiday before, I've seen people, strange people having salad and vegetables with their breakfast that aren't fried, which is not something I've seen, or that I've ever had before. But actually, it was lovely, and why not have that sort of thing for breakfast if you like to have it for lunch and dinner anyway?
And that's actually something that I wanted to talk to you about when you mentioned salad at the start of the conversation. So I already know, and I can already hear a lot of people saying, "Oh my God, why would you want to eat salad for breakfast? Like, what about jam on toast? Or what about porridge or pancakes or something?
Mm,
Like, why would you want to eat? Why would I want to eat salad for breakfast when I possibly could be traveling a country when there would be more decadent breakfast foods?"
mm.
What was going on for you personally in that time for breakfast?
Well, I like bread, so I did get some bread, which was nice. It was like a nut and cranberry bread, I reckon. And I got some jam, a little pot of jam, no butter, obviously. I haven't really got a sweet tooth, so pancakes and that sort of thing would never appeal to me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I do like fruit, however. So I think it was more a case of I'll go to the fruit or maybe I'll try having salad. They had various dressings. So I had sweet chili one because I know that I like that and I know that that hasn't got anything in there that I wouldn't want to have. And I thought, well, the first day it was just a case of, well, let's try it. Other people are doing it. So, why not? And
Mm-hmm.
actually, it was really nice.
I also think exactly what you said there, kind of branching off that. When I traveled Southeast Asia, I couldn't get it in my head, and I was just a bubba then. Like I was what, 18 or 21, I think, when I started traveling. Um, and I was like, how are people eating like pho or pad thai or like fried rice for breakfast? Like,
Yeah.
why would you want that for breakfast? And then you've just got to think about different cuisines. If you're traveling a different country, why not immerse yourself
Mm,
as fully as you can to the boundaries that you want to respect yourself, right? So if you don't want to eat meat, then don't eat meat.
mm,
But fully embrace yourself as much as you can with the local types of food or the local ways that they like to cook. So if they like to have a savory breakfast, which quite a lot of countries do,
mm,
and you can tell that like the healthier countries, they typically don't have this sweet laden breakfast like we do in
mm.
the USA or in the UK.
Yeah.
Um, and just have the savory breakfast and try out the local style of eating. While you're on holiday, I think it would be really nice to just try out different ways.
Mm,
Like you said, having a salad, having loads of veggies first thing in the morning, that's actually really, really, really good for you. You're not
mm,
spiking your blood sugar levels from the moment that you wake up. And the problem with that is then we crash and it's the sugar levels that get low, we get low energy, and then we crave those sweet things. So you might be walking around a town, or maybe in your lunch break, they might bring in some sweet treats. And then all of a sudden, your eye is caught on these sweet treats, whether it's in a shop window or brought to the table. And now you want it, and your body's craving it because you've already started off that blood sugar roller coaster throughout the
mm,
day,
mm.
which is also really important. I know that you love your coffee. Did you have a tea or anything while you were away?
No, I don't like the tea.
No.
So I do drink hot water. I quite like hot water. I like
Hmm.
Builder's tea, but not the tea that they have here. I've tried it and I really don't like it. So so for breakfast I did have um some little coffees. They didn't really have very nice ones. So yeah, so hot water is pretty much what I had, and obviously bottled water that I had on the course.
Mhm,
So,
mhm,
but it's interesting you were saying about you know, that sugar rush and the down.
mhm.
When I was on the course, because even though I don't have a sweet tooth, if there's cakes there, I would have normally eaten them. You know, I would just have, you know, and actually later on they did have savoury things as well. But it didn't even cross my mind to go and get them because
Okay.
I wasn't hungry. And it
Yeah.
wasn't a case of, or shall I, shan't I? But people were like, oh, there's some coffee out there and there's some cakes or whatever. I was like, oh, okay. But it didn't even cross my mind.
That's
So,
amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah.
You said that when before you left, you said that you were a little bit worried because you usually kind of just throw everything out the window. It's kind of like,
Mm.
ah, fuck it, I'll start when I'm back. So, what do you think really was if you were to give some advice to someone else who was going away, what was like the biggest thing for you that changed everything, um, in order for you to have so much more control this time round than before?
Well, number one, I'd say the planning.
Hmm.
I'd already planned what I was going to have, and it wasn't just I'd written down as many different options that I thought I could have.
Hmm.
Plus, I put in capital letters, eat when you're hungry, stop when you've had enough.
Mm,
So that I knew that even if I had something that wasn't on my list or wasn't necessarily exactly what I wanted, then as
mhm,
long as I was hungry and I stopped when I had enough, that would be better than just saying fuck it and just eating the whole lot anyway.
mhm,
So that was number one, was planning it. And also deciding that it didn't it didn't matter as much as I thought it did if I wasn't perfect with it.
mhm.
And
I love
obviously,
that.
like I know I
Sorry, I'm just
suspect to
writing this down.
you, I'm going away a lot. I mean, I'm going away next week with school. So I'm going to have to plan that. I've already made sure the hotel know that I'm vegan. So that's already been something that's done. But as I said to you, is I've got lots of trips away and I can't keep doing what I was doing because it doesn't make you feel good. So yeah,
Mhm,
those two things, planning and just realizing that it's life and sometimes you can't always have exactly what you planned, but that doesn't mean to say that the next meal you have to carry on. You know, so if you had
mhm.
something, say, I don't know, say the only thing I could have was chips, say, that doesn't mean to say that the next meal that I have, I just give up and just have the things that I really don't want to have.
Yeah, and I'm just writing down here, every moment that you have, you get to make a fresh choice. So,
Mm,
like you said, if the only thing available is chips and I'm absolutely starving, then I'm going to have
mm,
some chips. But
mm,
because
mm,
I know that they're calorific, because I know that they're not healthy, they're very, very poor in nutrition and very
mm,
high in calories,
mm,
maybe I'm just going to eat them more mindfully.
mm,
Right. And, you know, we might get stuck in these situations where you're on a trip and they might have messed up and you know there's something that you can't eat or there's not much that you can eat,
mm,
and it's just about being mindful and not beating yourself up and understanding or deciding that perfectionism isn't useful in that
yeah.
moment, and beating yourself up is just only going to cause more stress, more harm than any good.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. No, it was definitely, and it was just a whole different experience. It wasn't negative. So now I'm looking forward to going um, with the kids next week, surprisingly enough. But I mean, I know when I spoke to you, so I'm going on holiday in uh, July, and I
Yeah.
was already dreading going on holiday,
Hmm.
which is not good because I just thought I wouldn't be able to. I'd be in control, out of control, and
Hmm.
unhappy. So at
Hmm.
least now I know I can do it. Number one, and it's
Hmm.
just planning for it. To make sure that I can get through and enjoy it. I enjoyed being away. I enjoyed being in control,
Hmm.
and I enjoyed having energy and feeling good.
Hmm. Do you think that you've always had control, or do you feel like um, it was just a perspective of control? Don't know if
Yeah,
that.
I've always had control.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like I didn't have, like it's just that learnt behavior and sort of expecting that you can be perfect when actually you can't, and there's no such thing anyway. And
Mm-hmm.
there's too many things that just aren't quite reality. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I was out of control is actually not true.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm-hmm.
just,
What?
that's how I felt.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think you were doing because you felt out of control?
Well, overeating and just making myself feel worse.
Mm, mm. And it's interesting that you said that you know, you were the holiday in July, you felt dread and
Mm,
you felt unhappy
mm,
before. How ironic is that? Like you're going away
mm,
on holiday to feel good and to feel relaxed, but it was
yeah.
actually making you feel out of control and all of this dread and unhappiness,
Mm,
which is quite ironic,
mm,
really.
mm, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah. Anyway, well, thank you so much for jumping on. I really appreciate you. I've kind of split those tips into three. So, for anyone who's going away, maybe on a work trip or even just a leisure trip, one, plan. Two, I like to split this one. Always eat when you're hungry and stop at enough. But I cannot emphasize enough how incredible this one thing is, this one rule, this one tool. Um, as long as you eat when you're hungry, then you're not eating in a surplus. As long as you're also stopping when you've had enough. It's so easy to just get so distracted and overeat. And like you said, right? Oh, we've got tea and coffee or cakes or sandwiches. There's snacks in there. Like especially, I've seen it. Like I've worked in hospitality for so long. The bosses of a conference, they'll organize like snacks and biscuits and cakes and stuff, and all they're doing is just spiking everyone's sugars, which is actually ultimately making them crash in the afternoon. And
Mm,
then they wonder
mm.
why no one can pay attention in the afternoon because they fed them with unhealthy food,
Yeah, that's true.
right? Oh my goodness, working in hospitality, oh, it's killed me. You see all of the crap that they order to
Mm,
serve,
mm,
and it's like, you know, when people bring in a box of donuts to the office that you hear typically that happens in the US as
mm,
well. It's just like you are actually doing the complete opposite to appreciating your staff.
mm,
And you're making them feel shit by
mm.
giving them this instant gratification. And it's not sustainable. Anyway, that's a whole rant for another time. But anything else that you would like to share with anyone while they're watching? Any other tips, recommendations, or anything like that?
Uh, no, I think as you were talking then, I was just thinking that I want to be able to live my life, which includes holidays and situations. So yesterday I was at work and I was in a meeting that was so many hours long, it was untrue. And school got catering in.
Mm-hmm.
So and because it was over lunchtime, I was like, okay. So I went along, saw what I could have, and I had some roast potatoes and some poached vegetables, and then some lovely fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew again straight, and that was an unexpected. I knew that there was going to be something for lunch, but I assumed it would be in the school canteen, which it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I still managed to do that because I think the more I do it, the more confident I am of what I know I can do. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, okay, vegetables and fruit isn't it's healthy,
Mm-hmm.
but it isn't. The protein's not there,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It was the best choice
Mm-hmm.
and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then my next meal, if I'm hungry, then that will be when I can make sure that it's what I want it to be
Mm-hmm.
and stop when I've had enough.
All of this tofu that you've bought,
Yeah.
you'll go home
Yes, yes,
in
yes.
in a matter of weeks' time. You'll just be one of these hardcore vegans that just eat tofu like an apple. You'll just be like,
I'm not
"Stop me
sure about
now!"
that. I'm not sure, but I'm marinating right now as we speak. So
Nice,
we'll see.
nice. If you freeze tofu, defrost it, and freeze it again, it turns into a very spongy texture.
Yeah,
I wouldn't recommend freezing and defrosting twice. I did that to test
right,
and see what it was like, and it was like I you couldn't bite into a sponge and the sponge have more of a spongy texture. Like
right.
the tofu was literally a sponge, like
Yeah,
a plastic sponge, like one that you would wash your dishes with.
yeah.
And that was a freeze, defrost, freeze, defrost. So I would probably recommend freezing and defrosting once, and that does firm up. It kind of just like holds it together a little bit more. I mean, freezing and defrosting twice, I was literally holding it like this and it was expanding. Like I can't, it was a literal sponge. I was like, this texture is so weird. But yeah, definitely play around with that tofu, and yeah, you'll be eating it like a hardcore vegan.
Yeah,
trust me.
we'll see what today's one turns out like. I'm trying all different
You
ones.
are. And just for any context for anyone watching this, Rudy came to me and she was like, yeah, I don't like tofu. And I was like, okay, cool. And now, look, you sent me a picture of like this 5 kilos of tofu, being like, I'm gonna try and like it.
Well, it's so cheap. I have to like it.
Yeah, it's so cheap. It's so good. It's a fantastic source of nutrients, vitamins. It's got great calcium, great protein, some really, really good nutrients in there. Because you're in China, it's perfect as well for you. Nice and cheap and really versatile. So definitely get going. Maybe I'll give you a task to write up a new ebook for me. Maybe like a tofu series would be great. I don't mind.
No problem.
Yeah. All right, Rudy. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I very much appreciate you sharing your experiences with the group. Thank you.
No problem. Speak
Have a
soon.
wonderful
Bye.
day. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.